Bob, first and foremost, is hands down the most passionate speaker on any subject I've ever heard. And clearly he's a historian. I mean, knows every detail of every player, every umpire, every story that comes from the Negro Leagues. For me, it's very humbling. I mean, just to know not only that the league is integrated, but the conditions those players played in and the love of the game that they played for in really adverse, not only travel and those kinds of conditions, but in societal conditions too. So Bob does a great job of bringing those things to light while not being dour about it. You know, he inspires people. He loves the game of baseball first and foremost, but the way he brings it to life is truly special.
Indeed, and we are always so happy to have Bob Kendrick on set for Salute to the Negro Leagues, Jackie Robinson Day, or any day for that matter. Extra special this year because he is joined by former Negro Leagues ball player Sam Allen. And as is always the case, Monty and I have just given up over the years in trying to outdress Bob or Mr. Allen as well. Okay, one, we're giving you credit for the win yesterday, Bob, and Monty made sure.
If you didn't give it to me, I was going to take it anyway.
I know you were. Monty mentioned it to Matt Quatrera, who said maybe we'll put you in the dugout today if that's what it takes. So honored to have Mr. Allen here. Bob, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about having one of these great Negro Leaguers here with us.
Well, for me, it's always exciting because there's not very many of them still with us. And we knew from the onset when we started this museum that it was going to be a race against time. The people who made this history wouldn't matter if it was a matter of when. They were all going to be gone. So to have Sam here, to have Pedro, Sierra here, that is so special. And it gives us a chance to celebrate them, gives them a chance to gain the adulation one more time from the fans. But it's also important for the fans to be able to get a glimpse of living history. I can tell the stories, but I didn't live the stories. He lived the story.
Right, Mr. Allen, you lived the story. We see the picture of you there in the middle from back in those Monarchs days.
Back in '57.
Yeah, tell us about some of those great memories.
Well, you know, you hear people talk about the Negro League, write about it, but we lived it. We rode the bus. If you didn't ride that bus, sleep on that bus 5 nights a week, sleep in a hotel 2 nights a week, and the hotels that you slept in probably had 2 bathrooms on each floor. You had radio in the room. You didn't have television. 1 TV in the lobby. You know, so we went through we've seen a lot of changes in my lifetime.
And Sam, I wanted to ask you about the play in the Negro Leagues because we've got Shohei Ohtani here, a two-way player. I know there are a lot of outstanding two-way players in the Negro Leagues. Does anyone come to mind to you that was an outstanding player?
In the Negro League, if you were a pitcher today, you played right field the next day. See, we had two-way players. Everybody played. At the end of the season, you got rid of one of the outfielders, and you put a pitcher in outfield. So we used to the two-way players, and you didn't get hurt. You played right through the injury.
Yeah. And Bobby mentioned a right fielder. I want to ask you about a great right fielder that I had the opportunity to play with, Dave Parker, who we lost yesterday.
Yes.
What do you remember about Dave Parker and his impact?
Well, number one, the great arm, the great athlete. I mean, he looked like a gazelle out there in the outfield with that cannon for an arm, and a great guy. In 2019, Monty, we were very blessed to honor him by inducting him into what we call the Hall of Game, which annually honors former Major League greats who we believe played the game the way they played it in the Negro Leagues. So you played it with passion, you played it with skill, but you also played it with a little swag. And Parker, the Cobra, had a lot of swag, but it breaks my heart, a month shy of his induction into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. But I tell people, we got it right in 2019. He should have been in the Hall of Fame well before then, but at least he knew he was going in. And you know, Sam, it reminds me of the great Leon Day.
Right.
Leon Day was the last Negro Leaguer to still be alive to learn he was going in the Hall of Fame. He was in a Baltimore hospital when he got the news.
Yes.
6 days later, he passed away, but he knew he was going in.
Yeah.
Sam, how much validation, too, to see this recognition all these years later, thanks in part to the museum, Bob, and the effort of so many others, to see all these legends, some of the greatest players on the planet, get their due, even if it was after their passing, into the Hall of Fame, to be recognized as the greatest ball players in the world.
As they used to say, it's better late than never. Yeah, you know, I didn't have an idea that I would receive all these accolades. If you had told me this years ago, I wouldn't have believed it, you know. But it's great.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, too, about the level of play. One of the things that we've learned among the many from Bob were that, one, wasn't feeling sorry for yourself. You went out there and played the game you loved, but not just played the game you loved, at the highest of levels with the most flair and excitement and skill. What do you remember about the level of play and competition?
I can remember when I was a youngster, I used to watch the Negro League players play, and it was one thing about Negro League players, even though they rode on the bus 3 or 4 nights a week, but they were able to play 18 and 19 and 20 years.
And 18 and 19 and 20 innings if they needed to as well, right?
Yeah, that was a long time.
Whatever it was, it was.
They were a long time. You know, they lived a long time. And then what they did, they didn't make that much money, but in the winter they went to Cuba, Puerto Rico, and played. So they played year round. Yeah, they were tough.
And Bob, let's talk a little bit about Jackie because of the connection between the Dodgers and now the Royals today. Let's talk a little bit about that team.
Well, it's so special for us because we want the baseball world to understand and embrace that it was Kansas City that gave America arguably its greatest hero in Jackie Robinson. I think people think that Jackie just walked out of nowhere and started playing for the Brooklyn Dodgers. But as you both know, his real rookie season was right here in Kansas City in 1945. It does not happen without the Negro Leagues and the great city of Kansas City. And as I remind folks, the 5 months that he was here, he fell in love with everything that Kansas City is famous for: barbecue and jazz. Yeah, and so it holds a special place as part of this story that Jackie Robinson's illustrious professional baseball career, that barrier-breaking career, began in Kansas City, and that the Negro Leagues basically fueled that opportunity. So we shouldn't forget Jackie, but we should never forget those who built that bridge that allowed Jackie and others to cross over to get that opportunity to play at the major league level.
And I know we're building a new building, or we will be building a new building. That's in the future. How about right now? New exhibit. There's always something going on over at the museum.
No, it is, and I love it. It's called Leaders and Innovators. And before I came on the set, I had an opportunity to spend a little bit of time with Dave Roberts. Dave is actually featured in that new exhibit because we look at the history of the great black managers going from the Negro Leagues who didn't get the opportunity to transition into Major League Baseball all the way through the modern times with both black and brown managers. So Dave is featured in there, Dusty Baker, Cito Gaston as more modern managers, but also spotlighting those great black managers of the Negro Leagues. This year marks the 50th anniversary of Frank Robinson becoming the first African-American manager in Major League Baseball history. So we decided to tell this more expansive story and the amazing innovations that come out of the Negro Leagues. The batting helmet, shin guards, the most prolific of them all, as you know, night baseball. We lit up the ballpark in more ways than one.
Yeah, well, we're hoping that the Royals light up the ballpark again today because they're 1-0 after Bob Kendrick speaks to them. Most importantly, so great always to have you out here. This one is better than the other ones because we have Mr. Sam Allen here with us.
Absolutely. I mean, that fills me with tremendous pride when I see he and Pedro walk through those doors. You know, again, You know, they've been with us the last several years. I hope they will continue to be with us. I hope that God will continue to bless both of them with great health so they can keep coming out to Kansas City, because Kansas City loves them.
You keep telling us these stories. We will keep listening. Such an honor to have you out here, your grandson as well, in from Virginia. Thank you so much for everything, for helping preserve the legacy, for sharing those stories with us, Mr. Allen.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sam Allen, and of course, the great Bob Kendrick.